Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, Fabian.
Hi, Kishin. How are you? It's nice to see you.
Yeah, nice seeing you. Um, so I've got a request from somebody that want to ask about non-self. What what does this person look like? Actually, I got quite a lot of requests for that. Um, it's very hard to understand from the standpoint of a self to understand somebody who is absence of the self.
Is it like to
Uh,
explain a person like who is colorblind? What is color? Is it like that?
it's it's even more than that. Uh,
Ah, okay.
So let me start by saying that when the sense of self start to disappear, number one, this whole journey is very gradual. So say if you take a whole lifetime, the process of preparing the first 10 or 20 years, I say 20 years of practice, is just getting over the hindrance, right? Getting to try to shift a little bit, very, very tiny bit. And then it get things easier. But at some stage, the transformation speed up, and it will be very fast. But even though the transformation is fast, the disappearing or the on and off of the sense of self is very, very difficult process, because imagine you are learning or trying to cope with your sense of self disappearing. Your sense of self is your thinking, your memory, everything about you is starting to lose it. So you might think you're losing it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
um, so it can be a very, very difficult time. And then when your sense of self totally ceased, right, gone completely, and I mean, it's not just the ego. I mean, your your very subtle, fine sense of self is the knowing, right? The awareness. Imagine that's gone. So what's left is not, it's not like you don't know or you're not aware anymore. It's just that I am aware or I know is gone. You get what I mean?
Yes, yes. I mean, I have a few questions, but I'll let you finish first.
Okay. So imagine when we sit and meditate, right? That that awareness, right? That keep us knowing things, even though we are going through stages of transcendence, that knowing finally is also gone. So that is what I mean when the sense of self is gone. So I don't mean just very in terms of psychology, just the ego. I don't mean that one. That is quite gross. you know. So, so the process of transformation is about coping and learning when the sense of self is starting to disappear. And when it disappears, there is also another stage or another period of time of adapting and integrating, so that you can function with this non-self, with no sense of self. It's all about relearning to do things again. So learning to do things spontaneously without thinking, because the thinking gone, because that in a sense, some part of you where you used to be aware, that center of reference, that agent is gone. Yeah, so it's a whole it could take a person 1 year, 2 years to reintegrating and seem to be normal like before. So you wouldn't know if this person is non-self or not. They might walk around just like a person. You wouldn't know. There's a lot of misconception, like, okay, you know, when nibbana happen, you'll be totally detached, meaning like you don't have a preference, you don't have all these likes and dislike anymore. That is very, very by the book. You know, that's why I don't like this theta system, because then you start to measure these people by this standard, which isn't very real. So, yeah, I think I'll probably stop there and let you ask some questions.
Yeah, I'm sure you can tell very much about that state. But yeah, so first of all, for people who never really heard about that term, I mean, the Buddha said life is impermanent, it is suffering, and it is non-self. So I think most people can relate to the first two, that, you know, everything changes, and we all know that, in certain or several regards. And then that because it changes and you latched onto it and you thought it is real, it disappears, and then you end up with suffering. So but like the non-self aspect is actually the most mystic one to actually talk about. So but actually it sounds sort of like a bit of a psychosis, right? So that you don't you lose it, right? You don't have the sense of self, or the way you experienced life, seen life, thought about life, and all the people and related to things and family is gone. It sounds like it's gone. So for me, it sounds like actually it might sound unhealthy, right? Or like a
Uh,
psychosis.
well, it's not psychosis in many ways. The whole process from when things start to happen, when you transform, when you start to disappear, when you disappear, when you learn all these differences and all these changes, you are aware. Even though the awareness is gone, I know this why there's a paradox, so it's very hard to talk in a conventional language without implying that there is the self there. But that's you just have to take it that when these happen, it is not I've heard so many people another misconception that nibbana is this mind-blowing kind of meditative experience or an experience, and then you have this insight and then that's it. It's not, okay? It's not an experience and it's not an insight. It is a That's why nibbana is different from enlightenment. When you have an insight or when you have this mind-blowing meditative experience that shift and transform your perception, that is an enlightenment. But in terms of nibbana, it's a total extinguishment, right? Your sense of self is extinguished. And even though there is, the awareness is the one that is extinguished, you're still aware of the whole process. You're still aware of the reality. You're still aware that you are changing and things are happening. So it's not a psychosis, it's not a delusion, where you got mixed up with the two realities and you don't know which and you actually quite dangerous to yourself and maybe to other people. But when you realize or when you know things are happening, you take steps to be safe. Yeah. Does that sound scary?
No, it does not. It just it sounds like it's really hard to grasp for, like, in the conventional reality, right? It's like you want to grab some air, because like the understanding cannot entirely reach there, right? But you clarified it's not like a psychosis. It's just totally different than everyone thought. But you said something very interesting, as you say, there are many uh, ideas, right, about the experience of nibbana, right? I mean, that's the highest thing spiritual seekers are preparing for and searching for. And then there's the opinion of people saying that it is like yeah, a super explosion of feelings. It's just the most amazing thing that could happen, right? So there's this concept, and then there's the other people thinking, okay, you must be like a zombie then, like like the Walking Dead, because everything what used to be you is now gone. So, yeah, what do you say about that?
Now, even though your sense of self is gone, but the five khandhas is still operating, and it operating also according to whatever karma is left. Now, what is that? All that khandhas, there's consciousness still left, there's perception still left, thinking still left, feeling still left, the body still left. So your sense of personality is all there. Personality is what you already construct and develop in this lifetime, right? So what brings you to that point, it's already been kind of like mold. So when the only thing that disappear is your sense of self, it's not an annihilation, right? um,
Mhm.
um, because there is this concept that this sense of self is a solid thingness. There is an entity, it's a soul. So therefore, when it disappears, then it seems like it's an annihilation. But that's a misunderstanding or ignorance. So what really disappear is, so there is this sense of emptiness, an actual emptiness where your sense of self used to be. So it's in that emptiness there is peace, right? There is total silence. There is total stillness. There is no dukkha. There is no impermanent. There is no self. There is no phenomenon. It's just empty, right? But yet the five khandhas is still operating. So get your head around that fact.
Yes, interesting. So maybe we can even connect it to, say, a person having a thought, right? Or like the candles are still operating, as you say, but an enlightened person. So they experience this like thoughts coming up, or the thought candle is still running, but the relation to it, you say, is totally there's actually no relation to it. So it's totally an emptiness, it's totally peaceful, but still it's sort of the it is sort of working like before. You will say in a house, and now you're gone like outside of the house, and you so basically looking what's happening in the house from outside or something.
No. Before there is a person in the house, right? And so if thoughts come through your house, you know there's thoughts. If there's stress, feeling, suffering go through your house, you know it because there is a person in the house. But that person is an illusion in the beginning, right? It is a hologram. So when Nibbana happened, that hologram disappeared. So now there is an empty house, right? And it's remained empty. So there is no trigger coming through, or it's only come through because somebody is in there grabbing things, right? Attached to
Yes, yes.
things. But things are still happening outside the house. You know, the five candles still move, still thoughts, still likes, still cries, still emotion, still anger, all that around the house, but there's nobody inside the house to grab them. So the house remained empty.
So there's something like I don't know. There's sadness, right? Like sadness appearing. Like even if an enlightened person sees someone is dying, so sadness is appearing. But at the same time, you're not sad about the sadness. Can we say that? Or like
There's, yeah, like everything's still there. There's anger still there. There's like pretty much the personality of a person, of a human, is still there. But the awareness or the sense of I that is in the house is gone. So you can say emptiness is living. You can
mhm.
say the absence of reality is living reality. You can say non-self is living the sense of self. It's a paradox. It's yes and no at the
so
same time.
so it's a different driver basically of the car, so to speak.
There's no driver.
It is no driver at all, but the car still goes somewhere.
Yes, yes, yes. Until this body is still alive, then the car's still moving.
But no
And
one in there.
nobody in there. And it moves according to the karma, is a moving according to what's surrounded, pretty much the law of the universe, of reality.
Mhm, mhm. And I just quickly wanted to come to the way actually getting there. So you say that the first 20 years, like in my case, I do meditation now, like more or less, and on and off and up and down, like for I don't know, say 10 years. So you say 10 the first 10 to 20 years is actually preparation, overcoming the hindrances, establishing mindfulness, establishing deep concentration level, and working on your sila, like the morality aspect. And so basically, not really so much stuff is happening. So maybe some deep meditation experiences, maybe attaining jhana and whatever, which we all hope for that happen. But it's like not a super tremendous change. But then
Mm.
you say the change will appear quite quickly, or the changes will appear quickly,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, so if you think about addiction, right? life is like a very strong addiction, extremely strong addiction. So imagine relearning all the program, unlearning all that habits, and really not just unlearn, but just just having insight, so that it changes your point of view, it changes your thinking. That is really hard process. It's not easy at all. So it will
Mhm.
take you'll be lucky if you can do that in 20 years, right? And then to have the condition to meet all condition and meet the right teachers and meet the right friends, and then get to the point where there is a sudden change. There is um, a sudden change that would launch you into this um, massive transformation and experience. And I'm talking about a rupa here. I'm talking about your mind is expanding and it stay expanded. That's the big transformative period when your
It's
mind
like if you go
expands.
so yeah, but you mean if you go the path of the samatha, right? The samadhi path.
I wouldn't be so distinguished. I wouldn't call just samatha and insight. I would just call the journey, because when you go through the journey, you need both. You need the jhana and you need the insight, because without the insight, you won't progress through the jhana. Without the jhana, you won't progress through the insight. So I don't believe really much about dry insight, because um, it's like getting a person who is so skinny, doesn't have the right food, doesn't have the training, and then get him to carry, I don't know, 200 kilos, right? I mean, he just couldn't, right? You need the right food. You need to train for years to get to the point where you can carry 200 kilos. The same thing with the mind. You need to purify, you need to shift, you need to expand before you can um, transform, and before the sense of self can feel secure to let go. Because if you do things suddenly, you're asking the sense of self to totally disappear. Just your self-reservation won't let you, right?
Mhm.
Because there'll just be too much fear. But if you do this slowly, giving your sense of self a lot of joy and happiness, and when it expands, it's even, even more blissful. Then it just relax and just um, yeah. So it's very hard to end this paradox of yes and no, um, but it's the best I can try to explain.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for that for now. But just another question. So for those people who say go the spiritual path, and having the aim to attain nibbana, to nibbana, or like attain enlightenment. So, but who have been unlucky to or not say persistent enough that jhana would appear. Would you say that a person who is not able to or never have reached the jhana and have can attain to enlightenment? Would you say it is definitely necessary to have had at least first jhana?
Oh, Dana is a definite. At least I don't even agree with first jhana. I would, yeah, but that is, I wouldn't be so definitive about anything, because there's,
Yes.
9 billion people in the world, so I can't go and say no to everything. But I would say a very high chance that jhana, at least jhana, is needed. A rupa, from my understanding experience, a rupa is very it's a natural progression. It's because if you reach jhana, say even fourth, you have to stay there for quite a while, direct your mind, and go from there. But with a rupa, yeah, it's just like rolling downhill. Once you're rolling, you keep rolling to the end. It's a natural progression.
Yeah, I just imagine like a kind of like a snowy hill, and you get the ball, you start to, and get the ball rolling, and it's first of all it's like that size, and then it rolls and picks up more snow, and like the experience or whatever jhana, and the energy gets bigger and bigger, like, and then it's this massive ball, and then like just before the end on the Nibbana happening, like crushes against the tree, and then you see it's empty. It just came out like a metaphor. I understand how that works.
Yeah, kind of like that. Mm.
Cool. Um, so yeah, as you say, like there's not such an answer which is like one size fits all. So there's like 8.4 or 8.6 billion people in the world, and they all have different conditioning and all different karma, and they of course yeah will not have the same sort of way
Mm.
in order to attain that. Um, but like you say that the adapting, like once you've got there, I just wanted to focus on that point once before our time span has ended. Um, so the living and the thinking, the relating and the operating towards life and the present moment is quite different. Like and the adjusting is actually yeah, can you say something about the adjusting towards the new operation system and the new
Yeah,
drive, the no driver
yeah.
metaphor?
So in the beginning, when it first happened, there is massive peace because you know the difference, right? Before, you don't know how noisy your mind is until it all turn off. It's just like you being in a nightclub for so long, you are so used to no noise. But when at the end of the night and all the light turn off and all the music turn off, then you know how silent, silence. And that is exactly what happened. All of a sudden, all the noise in your mind stop. And that's
Mm.
when you realize there is the massive change happening. The expansiveness and all the difficulty of being big, like, is gone. But now all of a sudden, you would realize my mind is so silent. It is so
Mm.
still. And
That's a
it is,
brilliant metaphor. Yeah, and basically it's also like if say the music and the lights all ended, but it's also like all the guests are already out, right? So it's totally empty hall, so to speak, right? And the first time you experience actually, it's a really nice metaphor. Like you hear all this music, la la la, and then uh, you got used to that, and you think that's life, that's reality, and then it all stopped, and then yeah, I mean it must be a very mighty experience.
mm,
Yeah.
a lot of people are motivated to turn those off. That's why with meditation and all these um, techniques and all these practices is slowing it down, but it never turn off, right? And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden one day everything is off, right? And then you just kind of like luxurious in it. You just enjoy it for a while, and you. But then things start to happen. For example, somebody would ask you, "Oh, did you remember so and so?" And you just froze, and you just like, can't remember, because because your mind totally empty, right? So in that case, you just kind of wait until whether the memory would surface. But even if it surfaces, it won't surface the way it used to surface. Like the way you remember things is, oh yeah, I remember at that time I was doing that. So you kind of follow the memory back to the point where you're doing something. But as it is now, with an empty house, that particular point of memory just surface up. You can't follow it back to the point of the memory happen anymore, but it's just the memory pop up.
So sorry, go ahead.
The same with solving problem or thinking, right? Somebody give you a problem and say, if you can solve this, you'll be blank. You won't be able to solve it because there's no thinking, because your mind is silent. There's nothing happening anymore. So you just look at it, you read all the instruction, you gather all the information from different point of view and all that, and you just wait, and then the solution will pop up. Before you would think step 1, step 2, each step in solving the problem, but now you can't do that. The solution just arise for you.
So it's kind of like intuitional knowledge, or intuitional wisdom actually coming from the gut, so to speak, rather than thinking analytically or logically about things, right?
It's not. No, I wouldn't say intuition. Intuition is so subtle, but when a solution come up, it's quite real. It's quite solid, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah, there is way more intuition sense. Yes. But that's not how you would solve the solution all the time, though. What I'm saying is the solution that is to a problem would be better than if you go through the process of rational 1, 2, 3 to get the answer.
Yes. I see our time is nearly up. I still had tons of questions coming up, but yeah, maybe we cover next time something like, because that's one thing which came up as you mentioned it in the talk, like the difference between nibbana and enlightenment, right? Like, because
I think
there
we
is this
covered
concept.
that.
We covered it.
Yeah.
yeah, just a little bit, but like many questions came up in that. So maybe we can cover it next time then. But anyways, it's been great to to experience or dive into that sort of realm of emptiness for a bit, and I thank you a lot for commenting on that. So
yeah, I enjoy our conversation.
Yeah, me too. Okay, I see you next time, and I'm looking forward. And see you then.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. See you next time.